Chapter 4. A little Anxiato has written with a boyfriend too. Tang Yuching, 31 years old, military personnel, grandfather and parents are still alive. I have a brother, a nephew, and the family has a company that's successful, he said simply. An uncertain light suddenly flashed in her father's mind and he said, "Wait a minute." After that, he got up and walked towards the study room. Anxiato was satisfied with Tang's performance, but she could not guess what her father wanted. She could only sit by and worry about it. After a while, when he returned to the living room, he took off his glasses, which was on the bridge of his nose, and said to his wife, "Take Anxiato to the kitchen. I need to talk to him." She refused to comply. What if this man started saying stuff in front of her father when she wasn't around? "Dad, I go cook with your mother," he said with a solemn expression. Anne's mother half pulled and half pushed her daughter into the kitchen and closed the kitchen door to prevent her daughter from eavesdropping on the conversation. Inside the kitchen, her mother threw some vegetables to her to wash and she said, "Don't be so nervous. That man doesn't seem easy at first sight. Let your father meet him and see if he is worth trusting so that we don't suffer any losses in the future." The two of them wanted their daughter to marry the right man, with the same view and value as them, so that the marriage goes far. However, this man looked too outstanding, which made her slightly worried. She believed that her husband also had the same thoughts. Anxiato thought to herself, how can she not be nervous? If Dad knew he was a man who she had a one-night stand with, it would be strange if they didn't break her leg. When her mother saw that she was silent, she knocked her on the forehead and said reproachfully, "You said before that you didn't plan to get married until you're 28. I even persuaded your father not to tie you up in a blind date. Well, not only did you secretly get a boyfriend, you didn't even inform us in advance before bringing him home." Anxiato was bitter but couldn't say a word. She said modestly, "Isn't that a surprise for you and Dad?" "No, there's no surprise, but only fright." Although her mother said it out loud, she was still very happy that her daughter had such an outstanding boyfriend. However, it was preciously because her daughter's boyfriend was too outstanding that she was afraid that they wouldn't match up. The mood was mixed. "Mom, don't you think he's too old?" Anxiato asked in an attentive manner. She was only 23 and the man was 31, 8 years older than she was. Typical cows eat tender grass. Let him off the hook. How old? Besides, age is not a problem. Height is not a distance. Just look into each other's eyes. On the other hand, he doesn't mind you not being outstanding, yet you still have the nerves to dislike him. Anne's mother didn't think that her daughter was bad, but she did think that her future son-in-law was outstanding. How could he have fallen for her daughter? Anxiato was speechless. Other than being a little older, the man looked really good in every aspect. But she comforted herself with the thought that her youth was capable. Her capital and his capital offset each other, that is balance. After cooking, Anxiato carried the dishes to the dining. When she saw Tang glance at her, she suddenly remembered the forced flash marriage and said in a depressed way, "What are you looking at? You have never seen dishes before?" "What kind of child are you?" Her mother patted her reproachfully, turned to Tang Yuchong and apologetically said, Mr. Tang, please don't mind her." "Anxiato, this child always speaks without thinking." "No," Tang Yuchong disagrees. Anxiato met her father's eyes and slightly lowered her head, no longer daring to rashly at the dining table. By the way, Giotto, your mother said you took the household registration, Anne's father asked as he ate. When Anne heard the words registration, she choked in fright. Meanwhile, the man beside her quickly and calmly handed her a glass of water. She took the water and gave him a furtive look. He must have said something to her dad when she wasn't around. Otherwise, why would her dad ask about the household registration document? Seeing that she wasn't speaking, her father lowered his voice and said, Anziato, the father is asking you a question. What's wrong, Dad? She found the courage to ask. It's like this, Tang Yujing told me. Obviously, after the conversation earlier, her father's attitude towards Tang has improved greatly. He was now calling him by his name. Dad, don't listen to his nonsense. What he said isn't true. Anne interrupted her father. If today was her last day, she thought angrily, she would drag this man to the bottom before she dies. What's not true? I haven't finished. How do you know what I want to say? Anziato, are you hiding something from Dad? He immediately recognized that there was something fishy going on. No, I'm fine. Go on, Dad, go on, she said timidly. Forget it. Early death equals early birth. Well, as I've just been told, he's been in the army, and this time he's come to visit us, and I hope to take advantage of today's free time to collect the certificate, and then we will arrange the wedding slowly. He thought for a moment. Later, after dinner, you will go with Tang to get the certificate, he said calmly. To be able to reassure her father that his daughter was handed over to a man he has only just met for the first time, it was clear just how powerful Tang was in this city. No, Dad, don't you want to think about it? Don't you want to take out those 108 forms you made when I was small to make things difficult for him? Anziato became anxious. Why did her father's attitude suddenly change when she went into the kitchen? Anne's mother gave her a thrill and said, all love without marriage is hooliganisms. Giotto, didn't you find a boyfriend just to get married? Now that Mr. Tang is willing to marry you, you're still putting on the airs, aren't you? Hurry and get the certificate after dinner. From her husband's attitude and words, Anne's mother could see that he was definitely satisfied with their daughter's boyfriend, and that he was worth trusting. Since he was in such a hurry to get the certificate, he must have been afraid that his daughter would scare him off away. So get the certificate. At this moment, Ansieta felt that she had been given up to him. This man was the biological child of her parents. Otherwise, they would stand on her side and wouldn't join hands to sell her off. Mom, it's fine, but I'll stay at home before the wedding, okay? She added. Anyway, the certificate is a proof and it's unchangeable fact. As for the wedding, all right. Anne's mother looked at Tang and asked, what do you think, Mr. Tang? Although she had already gotten the certificate, she still felt that it wasn't good to stay with him before the wedding ceremony. The thought that the baby they had raised for 23 years was going to get married, Anne's mother's heart was full of reluctance. She was feeling empty in her heart.